daily sights on a daily basis in Ahmedabad. It looks very similar to this, very crowded streets with lots of auto rickshaws, which are one form of transportation. The chai wala, or the chai vendor, it tastes a little bit different than the chai that you get at Starbucks. And then cows. Cows are a daily occurrence on the streets of Ahmedabad. Some cities have banned them, but in Ahmedabad, it was part of our daily routine. Another part of the daily routine is more of a woman's realm of washing clothing, cooking food for your family, shopping in the daily markets for fruits and vegetables. And we did have vegetable vendors who came to our apartment complex. And that's a tradition in Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad has poles, which means that they're groups of houses together. Women typically didn't, and a lot of women still don't, travel outside their homes. So the vendors would come to their homes. So many times, especially in Ahmedabad and Gujarat, you would have rolling carts of vendors who would come and sit by your door. Other traditions in Gujarat, this is a very common sight. It's not a common sight as far as the wall plaster goes. That's very typical of the Kutch or the Bhuj region. I believe your club gave quite a bit of time and effort and money to the earthquake in Bhuj that happened several years ago. So in Bhuj, they have plaster walls and bungas and round homes. And in Gujarat specifically, your dowry is something that you display on the wall. So there will be shelves, and depending on how wealthy your family is, depends on how many layers of copper and brass plates and utensils you have to display. So this was a fairly poor family that we actually made contact with. And the contact came from a Rotary contact as well. This was, we don't have a lot of pictures of the family, but we were able to stay a couple of nights in the desert with a family who were extremely excited to have us. They spoke no English, but we got a really good flavor for what it's like to live in a very small village in the middle of a desert where water is scarce, and walking for water a kilometer is not uncommon. India is changing. My classmates were constantly texting and on their cell phones, just like young people are, and sometimes we are in this country. Another piece of the change is you saw the vendors on the street. So it was always vendors on the street, and then they moved to high-rise buildings for all of their markets. And then we've exported our indoor shopping mall, which I have to say, Temple Buell, the funder of my scholarship, he's known to be the inventor of the indoor walking mall. So it's being exported, but the environment is a little bit different. So it's a little bit of a concern. Studying urban planning, I learned a lot of statistics about India and the issues and the problems and what people are trying to do about them. One of the huge issues is the mix of vehicles. So you have really fast cars, Mercedes, Lexus, mixed in with a camel with a cart of a cell phone, with a cell phone ad, mixed in with the elephant, mixed in with the ox carts, and also the people making deliveries on bicycles. Pedestrians die on the roads more than anyone else in India, but there aren't any sidewalks either. So the other challenge is sanitation, and sanitation, one of our daily occurrences was to see the street sweepers and putting lime on the street, but also trying to figure out what to do with the trash. When we export Western culture, we also export some of the issues that we have. We're really good at hiding our trash away from making our cities look really clean and putting waste disposal somewhere else. In India, because it's a fifth the size of the U.S., and they have 1 billion people who live in that country. So it's very difficult to hide the trash and the issues that they have. So there are people called rag pickers who go through the trash and pick out anything that's recyclable or reusable or compostable. So they actually have a really high recycle rate. It's just that it's very difficult, the sanitation issues that come along with some of the problems and the enormity of the trash of adopting and the problems of adopting Western culture bring. The other issue is population, which is a huge challenge. I tell people when we talk about India, how many of you have traveled to India, just out of curiosity? I know there are several in this room. So 1 billion people, all know I have a really well-educated friend who is here from India. My friends who we met are really well-educated. But of the billion people, there are 500 million of those who do not read and write. So I think one of the things that I always talk about is that it's hugely important to educate people, and that's another genius of America is that we have free public education. So what is our responsibility for making sure that we maintain that to bring everyone up together? Because it does help your economy run. So India has a lot of issues, and part of it is that not everyone is educated, half the people. And we learned several lessons. So one of them is just to participate, just to get involved with the people and the culture. And when they invite you to come do something, you go do something. This is Brett actually on the street against all travel warnings and problem. He found this was down from our apartment. He would go every day, not every day, but 2 or 3 times a week and get shaved. And this was his shave guy, and I think it cost him 25 cents. So he participated in some ways in that way. And then also, this is in the small village that we went to. The women wanted to dress me up in their clothes, and they're this tall and much smaller, and so I was in their clothing, and they were laughing and celebrating and having a really great time dressing me in all of their clothes. So it was really an experience. And then we appreciated the colors and the diversity and the diverse population, and then these are our friends, and we still keep in touch with them, and they really help teach us a lot about the Indian experience and the Indian culture and the do's and don'ts of what to do living in India. And respect India, there are many people in India who say that we have many ways to get to one idea. And so this is a Christian church in South India and a Muslim mosque, thank you, a mosque also in Bhopal, and they have very similar solutions. We could have put up a temple and a mosque and had some similar comparisons. So it's about multiculturalism and really respecting one another and understanding that we can all come to one conclusion. And then this is a map of the world in the same mosque that we showed you previously that's in Urdu. And Brett and I had never seen a map written in anything other than a Western script. So for us, this was a really poignant moment, and we stood there for several minutes looking over the map because it really said to us that we're not alone in the world, that it's important we learn each other's cultures and understand each other as much as we possibly can. And again, I just want to thank you so much. It was a huge opportunity for us. We learned an incredible amount that we would love to share, and we're still figuring out how we're going to go about, returning all of the blessings that we feel like we gained from you and from your organization. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Brett to come up here. Sue said we have a few minutes for questions, so if you'd like to ask us some questions. And then when you see her coming forward, we'll wrap it up.
Questions?
Sure.
We saw it, and before we saw it, people at my work said, "Oh, you'll never believe it, it's so shocking, it's so shocking." And we saw it, it wasn't really that shocking to us because we saw that every day. It actually was fairly authentic. The depiction of the slum, I thought, was fairly realistic. I mean, obviously, it's a 1 in a million chance for somebody to come out of the slums and have the experience that he did, but it does happen. I mean, 1 in a million, that's what it was, right? So, but we thought it was pretty good, actually.
Can you hear Brett without the, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I just wanted to add to that. When Brett and I flew into Mumbai on June 24th, and we arrived, we got off the plane and we thought we had to register in India, but we thought we could register anywhere. We actually had to be in Ahmedabad. But we got off the plane, got a taxi, went to the local place for registration, and we both looked at each other and we said, I'm so glad we're not in Mumbai. I'm so glad we're not here. Well, when we left from Mumbai. We were staying with a few of our friends and visiting them, and we got on the plane and we're like, wow, this is one of the best areas in Mumbai. This